It's 6 a.m., the alarm shrieks. Your first conscious thought isn't one of excitement for the day, but a quiet calculation. How many times can you hit snooze before you're late? You drag yourself through the motions, the same bitter coffee, the same crowded commute, the same fluorescent lights humming over your cubicle. You spend 8, maybe 10 hours a day trading your most valuable, non-renewable resource, your time, for a paycheck that mostly covers the bills for a life you're too tired to actually live. This is the deferred life plan. The promise that if you just work hard enough for 40 years, you'll eventually earn your freedom in a distant, golden retirement. But what if that promise is a lie? Now, picture this. It's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. You're sitting at a cafe in Lisbon. The warm sun on your face. You've just finished 2 hours of focused, productive work on your laptop. Your business, automated and efficient, is making money for you while you plan a surfing lesson for the afternoon. This isn't retirement. This is your life right now. This is the world of the new rich individuals who have rejected the deferred life plan in favor of lifestyle design. They value time and mobility over a corner office and a big salary. They aim to live their retirement dreams today, not decades from now. So here is the question, the one that cuts to the very core of our modern work culture. What if you could work less, live more, and start doing it today? In 2007, a man named Tim Ferriss threw this grenade into the corporate world with his controversial, game-changing book, The 4-Hour Workweek. It promised an escape route from the 9-to-5 prison, a blueprint for creating an automated income and living like a millionaire without needing to be one. For many, it sounded too good to be true. A scam, an impossible fantasy. But for millions of others, it was a revelation. In this deep dive, we're going to strip away the hype and the get-rich-quick fantasies. We will break down the core principles of the 4-Hour Workweek into practical, actionable steps and explore if this radical idea can truly work for you in today's world. I want you to picture this. It's 3:00 p.m. on a Tuesday. The air in the office is stale, recycled, tasting faintly of lukewarm coffee and quiet desperation. Outside, the world is alive. But in here, under the hum of fluorescent lights, we are ghosts in cubicles. That was my reality for years. I was a professional meeting attender, an expert email responder, a master of looking busy. My life was a series of meticulously planned 2-week vacations that felt more like frantic pit stops than actual escapes. The worst part wasn't the work itself, it was the slow, creeping realization that I was trading my life's most valuable, non-renewable resource, time, for a salary that just barely covered the cost of my comfortable cage. The Sunday scaries weren't just a funny meme. They were a weekly wave of existential dread that started around 4 p.m. every Sunday. A reminder that the cage door was about to slam shut for another 5 days. My moment of clarity didn't come from a dramatic boardroom showdown. It came quietly, when I had to turn down a last-minute chance to go on a road trip with my best friends because I couldn't get the time off. I was supposedly an adult, free to make my own choices, yet my life was dictated by a corporate calendar. That evening, I stumbled upon a book with a ridiculously audacious title, The 4-Hour Workweek. My first reaction, utter skepticism. Yeah, right? I thought, another internet guru selling a fantasy. It sounded like a late-night infomercial promise, filed right next to six-pack abs in 6 minutes. But that desperation I felt was a powerful motivator. I bought it, read it, and my perspective began to shift. This brings us to why we're here today. This video isn't just another summary of Tim Ferriss's book. You can find dozens of those. My goal is different. It's to humanize it, to modernize it, and to translate its core philosophy for right now, for a world that has changed dramatically since the book was first published. We'll explore how to apply these concepts in an era of remote work, gig economies, and AI tools that Tim himself could have only dreamed of. This is about taking the revolutionary ideas of the 4-hour workweek and making them practical and actionable for you, whether you're a freelancer, an aspiring entrepreneur, or even someone trying to reclaim their sanity within a traditional 9-to-5. To do that, we're going to structure our journey around the very framework Ferriss provides, an acronym that is the heart of the entire system: D, E, A, L. That's D, E, A, L. First, D for definition. This is the crucial first step where we redefine our goals. What do we actually want? It's not about being an idle millionaire on a beach. It's about designing a life of excitement and meaning. We'll dismantle the conventional wisdom of deferred living, the work now, live later trap, and replace it with a new currency: freedom of time and location. Next, E for elimination. This is where we wage war on inefficiency. We'll learn the art of the 80/20 principle to identify the vital few tasks that generate the most results and ruthlessly eliminate the rest. We'll talk about overcoming information overload and mastering the low information diet to reclaim our focus and mental clarity. Then, A for automation. Here, we build systems to run our lives and businesses for us. This isn't just about technology. It's about leveraging other people's time and expertise. We'll dive into the practicalities of delegation, finding virtual assistants, and creating a business muse that generates income without our constant hands-on management. It's about building a machine that works for you, so you don't have to be the machine. Finally, live for liberation. This is the payoff. Once we've defined our goals, eliminated the non-essential, and automated our income, we achieve true mobility. We'll discuss how to escape the office, negotiate remote work, and take many retirements to live the life you've designed right now, instead of waiting for a distant, uncertain future. Now, before we dive in, let's set some realistic expectations. The 4-hour workweek is not a magic pill. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Reading this book or watching this video will not instantly shrink your work week to 4 hours. It is a philosophical blueprint for a radical lifestyle redesign. It requires you to be uncomfortable, to challenge long-held assumptions about work and life, and to take calculated risks. It's a paradigm shift. So, if you're ready to stop being a ghost in a cubicle and start designing a life rich with time, mobility, and purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's begin our deal with life. Welcome to the first step of our journey into Tim Ferriss's groundbreaking book, The 4-Hour Workweek. We begin with Chapter 1, titled Define the Rules of the New Rich. This isn't just an introduction, it's a fundamental tearing down of the societal scripts we've been handed about work, wealth, and life itself. Prepare to have your assumptions challenged. Ferriss starts by painting a picture most of us know all too well: the deferred life plan. What is it? It's the unwritten contract society offers you: go to school, get a good job, work tirelessly for 40 to 50 years, save diligently, and then finally, at the age of 65, you can retire and start living. It's the promise of a golden reward at the end of a long gray tunnel. You sacrifice your youth, your energy, your best years for a future payoff that is far from guaranteed. You defer your dreams, your travels, your passions, all in the name of a secure retirement. This is the life of the deferrers, those who save everything for the end, only to find that the end might not be what they imagined. They are cash rich, but time poor, trading their most valuable, non-renewable resource time for a future that might never come or might arrive when they lack the health and vitality to enjoy it. Ferriss argues that this model is fundamentally flawed. It's a relic of a bygone era, an outdated operating system for life. Why, he asks, should we live as if life begins at retirement? Why postpone joy? This question is the launching pad for his entire philosophy and introduces us to a new tribe, the new rich. The new rich are not defined by the size of their bank accounts. They are not the traditional millionaires slaving away in corner offices, beholden to 14-hour workdays. The new rich have a different set of values and, more importantly, a different currency. Their wealth isn't measured in dollars alone, but in two far more valuable assets, time and mobility. Let's break these down. First, time. For the new rich, time is the ultimate commodity. It's about having complete control over your 24 hours a day. It's the freedom to decide what you do, when you do it, and with whom you do it. It's not about being idle. It's about being the master of your own schedule, free from the tyranny of the 9-to-5 grind. It's the ability to take a spontaneous trip on a Tuesday, to spend an entire afternoon with your children, or to dedicate a month to learning a new language, not because it's a scheduled vacation, but simply because you want to. Time, in this context, is about ownership of your life. Second, mobility. This is the freedom to do what you want, where you want. It's about breaking the chains that tie you to a single physical location. In the age of the internet, the new rich understand that work is something you do, not somewhere you go. By creating systems and businesses that can be managed from anywhere with a Wi-Fi connection, they achieve geographical liberation. This doesn't necessarily mean being a perpetual world traveler, although it can. It simply means having the option. It's the power to live in a lower cost country while earning a strong currency, to escape a harsh winter, or to move closer to family without sacrificing your income. Mobility is about having choices, about making the world your office and your playground. These two currencies, unrestricted time and untethered mobility, are what create the lifestyle of the new rich. It's a shift from a focus on accumulation for the future to a focus on creating freedom and rich experiences in the present. To fully embrace this new paradigm, we must redefine our understanding of wealth. This brings us to another critical concept: relative income versus absolute income. Society teaches us to chase a big, absolute number. A person earning $500, 000 a year is seen as more successful than someone earning $50, 000. But Ferriss argues this is a dangerously simplistic view. Absolute income is meaningless without context. Relative income, on the other hand, is what truly matters. It considers two variables: the money you make and the time it takes you to make it. Let's imagine two people. First, We have a high-powered lawyer in New York City earning $500, 000 a year. It sounds impressive, but he works 80 hours a week, is constantly stressed, has no time for his family, and lives in an extremely expensive city. His hourly wage, when you break it down, might be significant, but the cost in time and life energy is astronomical. Now, consider a freelance graphic designer who has automated his business. He earns $50, 000 a year, but works only 4 hours per week, managing his systems from a beach in Thailand where his cost of living is a fraction of New York's. Who is richer? In absolute terms, it's the lawyer, but in relative terms, the graphic designer is infinitely wealthier. He has a higher income per hour and, more importantly, possesses an abundance of the new rich currencies, time, and mobility. Ferriss urges us to stop asking how much money can I make and start asking how can I create my ideal lifestyle, and then determine the financial target to support it. The goal is not to have $1 million in the bank, but to live like a millionaire today with complete freedom over your time and location. Of course, stepping off the conventional path is terrifying. The what ifs can be paralyzing. What if I fail? What if I lose all my money? What if people think I'm crazy? This is where Ferriss introduces one of the most practical and powerful tools in the entire book, fear setting. Instead of vague goal setting, which focuses only on the positive, fear setting is the practice of defining your fears in precise detail in order to conquer them. The process is simple but profound. You take a piece of paper and create 3 columns. In the first column, you define your nightmare. What is the absolute worst case scenario if you take the leap you're contemplating, quit your job, start a business, travel the world? Be specific. Don't just write, I'll fail. Write, I'll burn through my savings in 6 months. You have to move back in with my parents and be humiliated. Get it all out on paper. In the second column, you brainstorm ways to prevent that worst case scenario from happening, or at least minimize the damage. What small steps could you take to mitigate the risk? Could you test your business idea on weekends? Could you build up a 6-month emergency fund before quitting? This column moves you from a state of passive anxiety to active problem solving. Finally, in the third column, you outline what you would do to get back on your feet. If the worst case scenario did happen, how would you repair the damage? You'd ask for your old job back. You'd get a temporary job. You'd reach out to your network. When you write it down, you often realize that the unrecoverable disaster you imagined is, in reality, a temporary setback from which you could recover in a matter of months. By quantifying the nightmare, you often discover that the potential consequences of inaction, living a life of quiet desperation for the next 40 years, are far more terrifying than the potential downside of taking a calculated risk. Fear setting is an exercise in courage. It shines a light on the monsters under the bed, revealing them to be small, manageable, and far less scary than they appear in the dark. So, Chapter 1 lays the foundation. It asks us to stop sleepwalking through the deferred life plan. It presents an alternative, the life of the new rich, defined not by endless labor and massive bank accounts, but by the true wealth of time and mobility. It reframes our perception of income from an absolute number to a relative measure of freedom, and it gives us a practical tool, fear setting, to overcome the emotional paralysis that keeps us trapped. This is the new game, and these are the new rules. In the previous chapter, we confronted the fears holding us back. Now, with fear in the rearview mirror, we face a new, more exciting question. What do we actually want? It's a deceptively simple question. For most of our lives, we're taught to pursue vague goals like success or wealth. We chase the elusive more without ever defining what more actually is. We defer happiness, telling ourselves we'll travel, learn, and truly live times after times we retire. Tim Ferriss calls this deferred living, and it's the default script for a life of quiet desperation. Chapter 2 is about tearing up that script. It's about replacing vague ambition with a precise, calculated, and actionable blueprint for your ideal life. This is the D in our deal framework definition. And the tool for this definition is one of the most powerful exercises in the entire book, dreamlining. Dreamlining is the process of turning your abstract, someday maybe dreams into concrete, time-bound goals with a specific price tag. It answers the question, what would I do, have, and be if I had unlimited money and time? But then it goes one crucial step further, asking, what's the actual monthly cost to live that dream life? The answer, as you're about to discover, is almost always far, far less than you imagine. It transforms the intimidating goal of becoming a millionaire into the far more manageable goal of generating a specific target monthly income, or too much information. This isn't just a budgeting exercise. It's the creation of your why. It's the fuel that will power you through the difficult steps of elimination, automation, and liberation that come next. So, grab a piece of paper, open a spreadsheet, and let's design your life. The Dreamlining worksheet starts with 2 timelines, 6 months and 12 months. Why not 5 or 10 years? Because someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. 6 and 12 months create urgency. They are close enough to be tangible and motivating, forcing you to focus on what's most important right now. For each timeline, you're going to create 5 dream goals for 3 distinct categories: having, buying, and doing. Let's break them down. First, the having column. This is for material possessions. What 5 things do you want to own? Be specific. Don't just write a nice car. Write lease a Tesla Model Y or own a vintage Omega Speedmaster watch. Don't write new computer, write a fully loaded 16-inch MacBook Pro. Perhaps it's a designer suit, a high-end sound system, or getting all your groceries from an organic delivery service. List up to 5 things you want to have in the next 6 months. And another 5 for the 12-month mark. This isn't about materialism for its own sake. It's about acknowledging the tangible things that would bring you joy or convenience and putting them on the map. Next, the being column. This is about who you want to become. What characteristics or skills do you want to embody? Again, be specific and choose up to 5. Don't just write be a better person. Write be fluent in conversational Japanese. Be a certified scuba diver. Be a great public speaker. Or be able to cook 5 gourmet meals from memory. This could include personal development goals like be someone who meditates daily, or professional skills like be an expert in digital marketing. This column is about defining the person you need to become to live the life you want. Finally, the doing column. This is where the experiences lie. What 5 things do you most want to do? Where do you want to go? This is often the most exciting column. Examples might include take a month-long trip through Italy, learn to tango in Buenos Aires, hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, attend a Formula One race in Monaco, or volunteer at an elephant sanctuary in Thailand. Think about the peak experiences that will make your life extraordinary. List up to 5 for the 6-month timeline and 5 for the 12-month one. Now you should have a list of up to 15 dreams for the next 6 months and another 15 for the next year. This is already more clarity than most people ever achieve. But now comes the magic. This is the step that separates idle daydreaming from an actionable plan calculating the cost. Beside each dream, you're going to determine its monthly cost for a one-time purchase, like that MacBook Pro costing $3. You divide the cost by the number of months in your timeline. So, for the 6-month timeline, it's $500 per month. For a recurring expense, like a car lease, you just write down the monthly payment for an experience, like that trip to Italy, estimate the total cost flights, accommodation, food, activity say $6美元, then divide it by the timeline. Over 6 months, that's $1, 000 per month. For a skill, like Japanese lessons, research the cost of a tutor or a program and find the monthly price. Let's walk through a quick example. For your 6-month having dreams, you have a new wardrobe, $1, 200. So $200 divided by month and a top-of-the-line espresso machine, $600. So $100 divided by month. Total having costs $300 divided by month. For buying, you want to become a skilled salsa dancer. Weekly classes cost $120 divided by month. You also want to learn basic coding, and an online course is $50 divided by month. Total buying cost $170 geteilt durch month. For doing, you want a 1-week surfing trip to Costa Rica, estimated at $2, 400. That's $400 divided by month. You also want to go skydiving, a one-time cost of $300, which is $50 divided by a month over 6 months. Total doing costs $450 divided by month. Now, add it all up, your total monthly Dreamline cost is $300 plus $170 plus $450, which equals $920 per month. This is the monthly price of your ideal lifestyle additions. The next step is to calculate your target monthly income, or too much information. First, calculate your current total monthly expenses. This includes rent or mortgage, utilities, food, insurance, debt payments, everything you spend just to maintain your current standard of living. Let's say this comes out to $3. 500. Now, add your monthly Dreamline cost to your current expenses. In our example, that's $3. 500 plus $920 for a subtotal of $4, 420. But we're not done. Ferriss recommends multiplying this subtotal by 1, saying this adds a 30% buffer for taxes, savings, investments, and the simple fact that life is unpredictable. It's your financial safety net. So, 4美元. 420 times 1, 3 equals $5, 746. This is your target monthly income. This is the number. This is the concrete goal that replaces the vague desire to be rich. To make it even more manageable, divide your too much information by 30 to get your target daily income, 5美元. 746 divided by 30 is roughly $192 per day. This is the moment of revelation for many people. Most of us walk around with a subconscious belief that we need millions in the bank to live our dreams. We see the millionaire status as the entry ticket to freedom. But the math of dreamlining proves this is often a misconception. Does living your dream life, the one you just designed, full of travel, new skills, and things you enjoy, really require $1 million net worth? Or does it require generating an after-tax income of $5, $746 per month? The latter is a specific, quantifiable cash flow problem. It's not an abstract wealth problem. Thinking in terms of generating $192 a day is a completely different psychological game than thinking about how to become a millionaire. One feels like a monumental, lifelong struggle. The other feels like a solvable business challenge. This reframing is the core of the defined stage. It shifts your entire perspective from endlessly accumulating wealth for a far-off retirement to engineering a lifestyle of freedom and excitement times. Right now, asterisk. It changes the primary goal from having a massive nest egg to creating a consistent, automated cash flow that exceeds your too much information. This is what Ferriss calls becoming the new rich. The new rich are not defined by their net worth, but by their freedom and options. They have designed a lifestyle that allows them to do what they want, when they want, where they want. The dreamlining exercise is the first practical step toward joining their ranks. It does more than just give you a number. It gives you a reason. It gives you a powerful, visceral why. When you're working late trying to set up your automated business, you're not just working. You're earning the $400 per month for your Costa Rica surf trip. When you're mustering the courage to negotiate a remote work agreement with your boss, you're not just having an awkward conversation. You are fighting for the freedom to take those salsa lessons and learn Japanese from anywhere in the world. Your dreams are no longer vague fantasies. They are line items on a plan, each with a price and a deadline. This clarity creates unstoppable motivation. Fear of failure and discomfort doesn't disappear, but is now outweighed by the excitement for the life you are actively building. So take this exercise seriously. Don't just listen to this and think, that's a neat idea. Pause it. Do the work. Define your dreams. Calculate their costs and find your target monthly income. This number is your compass. It is the destination on your map. In the chapters that follow, we will learn the exact strategies elimination, automation, and liberation to build the vehicle that will take you there. Welcome back to our journey through the 4-hour work week. In this section, we dismantle one of the most sacred cows of modern productivity: time management. Tim Ferriss titles this chapter The End of Time Management, a bold claim that challenges the very foundation of how we approach our workday. He argues that the conventional wisdom of to-do list, schedulas, and multitasking is fundamentally flawed. Why? Because it's built on a false assumption that all tasks are created equal. The goal isn't to cram more tasks into less time. The goal is to achieve more by doing less. And the keys to unlocking this radical new reality are two powerful, counterintuitive principles: the 80/20 principle and Parkinson's law. Let's begin by dissecting the first rule, also known as Pareto's law, named after the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. In 1906, Pareto observed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. This wasn't an isolated phenomenon. He found this 80/20 distribution everywhere. 80% of the peas in his garden came from 20% of the pea pods. This principle suggests that in many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. Ferriss urges us to apply this lens to our own lives and work. Think about it. 80% of your company's profits likely come from 20% of its customers and products. 80% of your stress and frustration comes from 20% of your relationships or tasks. Conversely, and more importantly, 80% of your happiness and desired outcomes come from a mere 20% of your efforts. The traditional time management guru tells you to be more efficient. Ferriss tells you to be more effective. What's the difference? Efficiency is performing a task in the most economical manner possible. It's about doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things, the things that get you closer to your goals. Being efficient at an unimportant task doesn't make it important. In fact, Ferriss calls this the most dangerous form of procrastination. The core task, therefore, is not to manage your time better, but to identify that critical 20% of activities that produce 80% of your results and focus exclusively on them. This requires a brutal and honest audit of your daily routine. Ask yourself two critical questions. First, which 20% of sources are causing 80% of my problems and unhappiness? This could be certain clients who demand the most time but provide the least revenue. It could be administrative tasks that eat up your morning but contribute nothing to your major projects. It could be meetings without clear agendas. The second question is the flip side. Which 20% of sources are resulting in 80% of my desired outcomes and happiness? These are your high-value clients. The one or two marketing channels that actually deliver results. The core creative work that moves the needle. The objective is to find your strengths and weaknesses. Once you have these two lists, the path becomes clear, eliminate, or at the very least drastically reduce the first list and pour all your focused energy into the second. Stop trying to please difficult clients. Stop attending pointless meetings. Stop spending hours on low-impact tasks just to feel busy. Being busy is a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. Now, let's introduce the second powerful tool in this chapter, Parkinson's Law. The law, articulated by Cyril Northcote Parkinson, states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. It's a simple but profound observation of human nature. If you give yourself a week to complete a 2-hour task, the psychological pressure of the deadline makes the task seem more complex and daunting. You'll procrastinate, overthink, and find ways to fill the entire week. The task's perceived importance and complexity will swell to match the time you've allocated. However, if you give yourself only 2 hours to complete that same task, a tight, immediate deadline, you are forced to focus. You will have no choice but to concentrate on the essential actions required to get it done. You'll cut out the fluff, ignore distractions, and make quick decisions. The magic happens when you combine Parkinson's Law with the 80/20 principle. First, you use the 80/20 rule to identify the few critical tasks that truly matter. Then, you apply Parkinson's Law by setting short, aggressive deadlines for those tasks. This combination is the antidote to the endless workday. It forces you to be both effective and efficient. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine a marketing manager named Alex. Alex feels constantly swamped. His day is a blur of answering emails, attending meetings, creating reports, and managing social media accounts. He works 10-hour days but feels like he's treading water. To apply the 4-hour workweek principles, Alex first conducts an 80/20 analysis. He discovers that 80% of new leads come from just two sources, the company blog and one specific partnership. He also finds that 80% of his daily stress comes from trying to manage 5 different social media platforms and from a daily status update meeting that lasts an hour but has no clear outcome. His path to elimination is now clear. He proposes to his boss that they stop the daily meeting in favor of a short, written update. He automates or delegates the management of the low-performing social media channels. This instantly frees up hours in his day. Now, he applies Parkinson's law to his 20% activities. Instead of vaguely working on the blog all day, he gives himself a 90-minute block from 9:00 to 10:30 a.m. to write and publish one high-quality article. The short deadline forces extreme focus. He turns off his email, closes other tabs, and just writes. He repeats this for nurturing his key partnership, allocating another focused 90-minute block in the afternoon. In just 3 hours of focused, high-impact work, Alex has accomplished more than he used to in a full 10-hour day of being busy. The rest of his time can now be used for strategic thinking, personal development, or simply finishing work early. This isn't about laziness. It's about being ruthless with your time to achieve a bigger output in a shorter period. It's about recognizing that being selective is the path to being productive. So, here is your challenge. Your first step towards implementing this chapter's lessons: take out a piece of paper or open a new document. Create 2 columns. In the first column, answer this: what 20% of activities, people, and situations are causing 80% of my anxiety and problems? Be brutally honest. Is it checking your email every 5 minutes? Is it a particular client? Is it the news? Write it all down. In the second column, answer this: what 20% of activities, people, and situations are resulting in 80% of my feelings of joy and my most important results? Again, be specific. Is it having dinner with your family? Is it closing a certain type of sale? Is it the first hour of deep, uninterrupted work in the morning? Once you have your list, the instruction is simple but not easy. You must find a way to eliminate the items in the first column and multiply the items in the second. This is the essence of elimination. It's not about adding more productivity hacks to your life. It's about creating a not-to-do list. Stop doing the things that don't matter. Grant yourself the permission to focus only on what's essential. This shift from busyness to effectiveness is the true end of time management and the beginning of life design. Welcome back. In our journey through Tim Ferriss's revolutionary guide, The 4-Hour Workweek, we've explored the fundamental shift in mindset required to escape the 9-to-5 grind. We've defined our dreams and calculated their true cost. Now, we arrive at the first and perhaps most critical tactical step: elimination. Chapter 4, titled The Low Information Diet and the Art of Refusal, is where we begin the radical process of subtraction. It's not about adding more productivity hacks to your already cluttered day. It's about aggressively removing the noise, the interruptions, and the obligations that consume our most valuable resources, time, and attention. Imagine your mind is a pristine, high-performance computer. Now, imagine running dozens of unnecessary programs in the background, constantly downloading junk files, and allowing pop-up ads to interrupt you every 30 seconds. How well would that computer perform its main function? Not very well. This is the state most of us operate in daily. We live in an era of information gluttony, and the cost is far higher than we realize. We've been conditioned to believe that being in the know is a virtue. We scroll through news feeds, check email compulsively, and keep a constant eye on social media, fearing we might miss something. But Ferriss challenges this assumption head on. He argues that the vast majority of information we consume is negative, irrelevant to our goals, and outside of our immediate control. Reading about a political scandal on another continent or a celebrity breakup does not empower you. It distracts you. It fills your mental RAM with useless data, creating a low-grade hum of anxiety and making it impossible to focus on what truly matters. This constant connectivity creates an illusion of productivity. Checking your inbox 100 times a day feels like work. Responding instantly to a Slack message feels responsive. But it's what Ferriss calls reactive mode. You are letting the outside world dictate your agenda. Your day becomes a fragmented series of responses to other people's priorities, not a focused execution of your own. The time cost is staggering. The 5 minutes here to check the news, the 10 minutes there to scroll through Instagram, they add up, but the mental cost is even greater. This constant context switching fragments our attention, erodes our ability for deep, concentrated work, and leads to a state of perpetual decision fatigue, where our capacity for making high-quality decisions is exhausted by 1,000 tiny, insignificant ones. To reclaim our focus, we must first starve the distractions. This brings us to Ferriss's prescription, a low-information diet. This isn't about becoming ignorant, it's about becoming selective. It's about trading the junk food of endless, irrelevant updates for the nourishing meals of knowledge that directly serve your goals. The first step he recommends is a radical one, a 1-week media fast for 7 days. You are to consciously abstain from all non-essential information sources. This means no news websites, not television news, no newspapers, no magazines, and no aimless web surfing. The only information you consume should be directly related to the immediate, critical tasks you need to complete. The immediate reaction for most people is fear. What if I miss something important? Ferriss's counter is simple and profound if something is truly, earth-shatteringly important. It will find you. You will hear about it from a colleague, a friend, or a family member. The world will not fall apart because you didn't read the morning headlines. The purpose of this fast is to act as a system reset. It breaks the addictive cycle of information consumption and demonstrates just how much of what we consume is pure noise. People who undertake this fast report transformative results. Within days, they notice a dramatic reduction in anxiety. Their minds become clearer, less cluttered. They discover vast pockets of free time they never knew they had. Most importantly, they rediscover the ability to focus on a single task for an extended period, entering a state of flow that is impossible to achieve when your attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. After the fast, you don't return to your old habits. You reintroduce information sources with intention. Before consuming anything, you ask yourself 2 questions. Will I use this information for something immediate and important? And is this information relevant to my life and my goals? This simple filter allows you to stay informed on what matters while discarding the rest. But external information isn't the only source of interruption. The second, and often more challenging, source is other people. This is where we learn the art of refusal. To protect your newly reclaimed time and focus, you must become the gatekeeper of your own schedule. You must learn to say no. We are socially conditioned to be agreeable. Saying yes is easy. It avoids conflict and makes us feel helpful. But an unthinking yes is a betrayal of your own priorities. Every time you say yes to a non-essential request, you are implicitly saying no to something that is essential, whether that's completing a critical project, spending time with your family, or simply having time to think. Ferriss provides a toolkit of scripts and strategies to make saying no less confrontational. You don't have to be rude, you just have to be firm. One powerful technique is the vague refusal instead of fabricating a detailed excuse. A simple, "I'm sorry," but I'm completely swamped right now and can't take on anything new is often sufficient. Another is the delay tactic. That sounds interesting. Let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. This gives you breathing room to evaluate the request against your priorities and formulate a polite no later far why. Without the pressure of an immediate response, you can also become a helpful gatekeeper by referring the request to someone more appropriate. I'm probably not the best person for that, but you might want to talk to Sarah from marketing. She has a lot of experience in that area. This reframes your no as a helpful redirection. For recurring requests, Ferriss suggests creating system-wide policies. For example, as a rule, I don't take on unscheduled calls in the afternoon to protect my deep work time. A policy feels less personal than a direct refusal. The goal is to set boundaries and manage expectations proactively. An email autoresponder that states you only check email at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. is a perfect example. It's not a personal slight, it's simply your system. A polite no to a low priority task is infinitely better than a resentful yes that leads to stress, burnout, and mediocre work. The final pillar of the elimination phase is batching. This strategy combats the inefficiency of constant task switching. Every time you shift your attention from one type of task to another, say, from writing a report to checking your email, your brain pays a mental tax. It takes time and energy to disengage from the first task and re-engage with a new one. Doing this dozens of times a day is profoundly inefficient. Batching is the solution. It involves grouping similar tasks together and executing them in dedicated, uninterrupted blocks. The most famous example from the book is email. Instead of leaving your inbox open all day like a slot machine, tempting you with intermittent rewards, you batch it. You designate 2 specific times per day, say 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. to process email. During these blocks, you deal with your entire inbox. Outside of these blocks, your email client is closed, period. This single change can reclaim hours of productive time and create the long, unbroken stretches needed for high-value work. This same principle applies to almost any recurring task. Meetings, a notorious time sink, are a prime candidate for batching. Instead of scattering them throughout the week, try to schedule all your meetings on a single day, perhaps meeting Tuesday. This frees up the other 4 days for focused work. Before even accepting a meeting, question this necessity. Could this be resolved with a quick email if a meeting is unavoidable? Ensure it has a clear agenda, a defined outcome, and a strict end time. Similarly, batch your phone calls. Let non-urgent calls go to voicemail and return them all at once. Batch your errands. Do all your grocery shopping, dry cleaning, and banking in one trip per week instead of several small ones. By implementing the low information diet, mastering the art of refusal, and systematically batching your recurring tasks, you perform a great clearing. You eliminate the clutter that chokes your productivity and peace of mind. This isn't about becoming a recluse or a jerk. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that to achieve extraordinary results, you must stop doing what ineffective people do. You must ruthlessly protect your time and attention as the finite, precious resources they are. This act of elimination is the essential foundation. It creates the space, the time, the energy, and the focus required to build your new, liberated lifestyle. Welcome to Chapter 5, Finding Your Muse. In this pivotal section, Tim Ferriss moves from abstract principles of time management to the concrete mechanics of wealth generation. He introduces the concept of a muse, not a passion project that consumes your life, but a carefully engineered business designed to generate automated, hands-off income. This isn't about creating the next Google. It's about creating a small, efficient machine that funds your ideal lifestyle. The goal is simple: to create an income stream that requires the absolute minimum of your time to maintain, ideally less than 4 hours per week. A muse is your ticket to the new rich, a vehicle for lifestyle design. The first and most critical step in building your muse is identifying a viable niche market. Ferriss argues against trying to compete in broad, saturated markets. Instead of selling a product for everyone, you must find a specific, underserved group of customers. The best way to do this is to become an expert in a niche you already belong to. Are you a rock climber who has identified a specific gear need? Are you a remote worker who understands the unique challenges of a portable office setup? By being a member of your target market, you inherently understand their problems, their language, and what they're willing to pay for a solution. Brainstorming starts with your own interests and expertise. List the markets you belong to, from professional groups to hobbyist communities. For each market, ask yourself, what products or services do I buy? What do my peers complain about? Is there a product that could be improved or an information gap that could be filled? The key is to find a group with a specific, expensive problem. Once you have a promising niche, the next phase is product selection and creation. Ferriss outlines 3 primary paths for your muse reselling products: licensing an idea, or creating an information product. Let's break them down. Reselling is the most straightforward option. You find an existing product, purchase it at wholesale prices, and sell it at a retail markup. The advantage is that you don't have to deal with product development. The challenge is finding a unique product in a defensible niche that isn't already dominated by Amazon. You need a product that customers are actively searching for but can't easily find elsewhere. The second option is licensing. If you have an idea for a product but lack the capital or desire to manufacture it yourself, you can license the idea to an established company. In this model, the company handles production, marketing, and distribution, and you receive a royalty on every sale. This path requires more legal legwork and negotiation skills, but can be extremely hands-off once an agreement is in place. The third and most favorite option by Ferriss is creating an information product. This involves packaging your expertise into a digital format, such as an ebook, an online course, a video series, or a paid newsletter. Information products have immense advantages: extremely high profit margins, near zero cost of replication, and they are perfectly suited for automated delivery. You don't need to be the world's foremost authority on a topic. You simply need to know more than your target audience and be able to present that information in a clear, valuable way. Regardless of the path you choose, the product must meet specific criteria to be a successful muse. First, it should appeal to a niche, enthusiast market. Second, its primary benefit should be easily explainable in a single sentence. Third, it should ideally cost under $50 to produce or acquire. Fourth, it should be sellable for an 8 to 10 times markup, ensuring healthy profit margins. And finally, it should be fully explainable on a simple web page. Now, here is the most crucial part of the entire process. The principle that separates the new rich from the bankrupt entrepreneur: micro-testing. Before you invest a single dollar in inventory, manufacturing, or extensive product development, you must validate that people will actually buy your product. The old model was build it and they will come. The new model is see if they will come. Then build it. Ferriss advertis using simple, inexpensive online advertising, like Google Ads, to test your business concept. The process is a form of scientific marketing. First, you create a simple 1 to 3 page website that looks as if your product is real and ready to ship. This website should have a compelling headline, a list of benefits, testimonials, which you can borrow from similar products initially, and a clear buy now button. You then run a short, targeted ad campaign, driving traffic from your niche market to this test website. The ads will target keywords that potential customers would use to find a solution to their problem. For example, if your product is a portable standing desk for travelers, your ad keywords might include lightweight standing desk or travel work setup. The goal of this test is not to actually sell anything. The goal is to measure intent. When a visitor clicks the Buy Now button, instead of a checkout page, they are taken to a page that says something like, "This product is currently out of stock. Please enter your email to be notified when it becomes available." The number of people who click Buy Now and the percentage of visitors who do so, the conversion rate is your proof of concept. If you get a high enough conversion rate, you have validated demand. You've proven with real data that people are willing to pull out their credit cards for your solution. Only after you have this validation do you proceed. This test-first approach dramatically de-risks the entire venture. Instead of spending months and thousands of dollars on a hunch, you spend a week and perhaps $100 on an experiment. If the test fails and no one clicks, you haven't lost your life savings. You've simply learned that your initial idea wasn't a winner. You can then pivot, test a new product, or refine your marketing message and try again. This iterative process of brainstorming, selecting, and micro-testing is the foundation of building a successful muse. It's about removing guesswork and making data-driven decisions by finding a niche you understand, choosing a product that fits the muse criteria, and validating demand before you invest. You create a business that is not only profitable, but is designed from day one to run without you. Welcome to the next stage of your liberation. Chapter 6, Outsourcing Your Life. This is where the 4-hour work week shifts from a compelling idea into a practical, achievable reality. The previous chapters taught us to eliminate the unnecessary and simplify our tasks. Now, we learn to automate the rest. The key to this automation isn't a complex software or a futuristic robot. It's a person, a virtual assistant, or VA. Tim Ferriss introduces this concept not as a luxury for high-powered executives, but as an essential tool for anyone serious about reclaiming their time and designing their ideal lifestyle. The core principle is simple. Stop doing tasks you dislike, tasks you're not good at, and tasks that are not the highest and best use of your time. If a task can be done by someone else for less than your own calculated hourly rate, you should delegate it. This isn't about laziness. It's about strategic efficiency. It's about buying back your most valuable, non-renewable resource, your time. Imagine a life where you no longer spend hours booking flights, managing your calendar, transcribing notes, or falling down internet research rabbit holes. Imagine delegating these tasks and waking up to find them completed, freeing you to focus on growing your business, learning a new skill, or simply spending more time with your family. This is the power of a virtual assistant, and it's more accessible than you could ever imagine. So, what exactly can you outsource? The list is practically endless and extends far beyond typical administrative work. Let's start with professional tasks. A VA can manage your email inbox, filtering out junk and flagging important messages. They can handle all your scheduling appointments, meetings, and calls, navigating time zones and confirming with all parties. They can conduct detailed research, from compiling lists of potential sales leads and their contact information to summarizing competitor analysis reports or finding the best software for your needs. They can manage your social media accounts, update your blog, perform data entry, create PowerPoint presentations, and transcribe audio from meetings or interviews. But the real magic, as Ferriss demonstrates, is in outsourcing your personal life. Your VA can research and book your travel, finding the best deals on flights, hotels, and rental cars, and even create a detailed itinerary. They can manage your personal calendar, reminding you of birthdays and anniversaries. They can pay your bills online, track your expenses, and deal with customer service on your behalf. Imagine never having to sit on hold again. They can find and order the perfect gift for a loved one, research local plumbers or electricians, make dinner reservations, or even find and transcribe recipes for your weekly meal plan. The rule of thumb is this: if a task is time-consuming and doesn't require your unique personal presence or core skills, it is a prime candidate for delegation. Now for the practical part, the step-by-step guide to finding, hiring, and managing your first virtual assistant. Step 1 is finding talent. Ferriss highlights platforms that specialize in connecting clients with VAs, often in countries with a lower cost of living, like India or the Philippines. This concept of geo-arbitrage allows you to hire highly skilled professionals at an affordable rate. Websites like Upwork, Fiverr, and specialized VA agencies like Workweek, India, or MyTasker are excellent starting points. When you post a job, be incredibly specific. Don't just say, "I need a VA." Instead, list the exact task you need done, the software they should be familiar with, the required English proficiency, and the approximate hours per week. A clear job description attracts qualified candidates and repels unqualified ones. Step 2 is the hiring and testing process. This is critical. Never hire a VA based on their resume alone. Ferriss advocates for a trial-by-fire approach. From your pool of applicants, select the top 3 to 5 candidates. Then, give each of them the same small, paid test project. This project should be a real task that takes no more than 2 to 4 hours to complete. For example, ask them to research the top 5 sushi restaurants in Austin, Texas, that accept reservations online and compile the results, including addresses and phone numbers, into a spreadsheet. This test accomplishes several things. It shows you who can follow instructions, who communicates effectively, who is resourceful, and who delivers quality work on time. Pay all of them for the test task, regardless of whether you hire them. The small investment is worth its weight in gold to avoid a bad hire. Step 3 is management. Effective delegation is a skill. Simply dumping tasks on your VA and hoping for the best is a recipe for disaster. The first rule is clarity. Create standard operating procedures, or SOPs, for recurring tasks. These can be simple screen recordings or step-by-step written documents. For any new task, provide clear, concise, and written instructions. Use the if, this, then that format to anticipate potential problems. For example, please research flights from New York to London. If a direct flight is over $800, Then look for one-stop options. The second rule is to batch your communications. Don't send your VA a new email for every single thought or task. Consolidate your requests into 1 or 2 emails per day. This respects their focus and creates a more efficient workflow. Third, set clear deadlines. Don't use vague terms like ASAP. Provide a specific day and time. Fourth, encourage questions but also empower them to make small decisions. You want a problem solver, not just a robot. Tell them for tasks under a certain dollar amount, say $50. They have the authority to make a purchase or decision without your prior approval. This prevents bottlenecks. Finally, provide feedback. Let them know what they're doing well and where they can improve. A good VA relationship is a partnership that grows over time. Of course, the idea of handing over parts of your life to a stranger on the other side of the world can be daunting. Let's address the most common fears and misconceptions. The first is, I can do it faster myself. This is the perfectionist trap. It may be true the very first time you delegate a task because you have to explain it. But after that, the VA will get faster and more efficient, saving you countless hours in the long run. You must invest a little time up front to save a lot of time later. The second fear is the cost. I can't afford a VA. This is a failure of mathematics. Calculate what your time is worth. If you value your time at $50 an hour and you can hire a VA for $10 an hour to do a task, you are effectively making $40 an hour by delegating. You aren't losing money. You are buying time at a steep discount. The third concern is trust and security. What if they steal my information or make a huge mistake? You mitigate this by starting small. Don't give a new VA your credit card number or bank login on day one. Start with low risk. Public-facing tasks like research or scheduling. Use services like LastPass to share password access without revealing the actual password. As you build a relationship and trust over several weeks or months, you can gradually delegate more sensitive tasks. Mistakes will happen, but with clear instructions and low-stakes initial tasks, the impact will be minimal. The final hesitation is often, I don't even know what I would delegate. The solution is simple for 1 week. Carry a notepad and write down every single task you do, both personal and professional. At the end of the week, review the list. Circle every task that you disliked, that you weren't good at, or that felt like a poor use of your time. That list is your job description for your first virtual assistant. In conclusion, outsourcing is the engine of the 4-hour workweek. It's the practical mechanism that frees you from the mundane and allows you to focus on the monumental. It's not about becoming idle, it's about becoming strategic. By delegating effectively, you multiply your output, reduce your stress, and create the space needed to build the life you truly want to live, not the one you've been conditioned to accept. Your first step isn't to hire a VA tomorrow. It's to start tracking your time today. Identify the anchors weighing you down and prepare to cut them loose. Welcome to our exploration of Chapter 7 from Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. This chapter, titled The Architecture of Automation, marks a pivotal shift in our journey. We've already learned to eliminate the non-essential and delegate the rest. Now, we architect a system that runs itself. This isn't just about outsourcing tasks. It's about building a self-sustaining business, a muse, that generates income while you reclaim your time and freedom. The ultimate goal is to design a business where you are not the bottleneck, where operations can scale and flourish without your constant hands-on intervention. This is where true lifestyle design begins. Let's start with the most tangible form of automation, handling physical products. If you sell anything that needs to be stored, packaged, and shipped, you are tethered to a physical location and a daily grind of logistics. The solution is to remove yourself from the physical supply chain entirely. Ferriss introduces two powerful models for this: fulfillment centers and dropshipping. A fulfillment center, or a third-party logistics 3PL provider, is a company that handles all your inventory management for you. The process is remarkably simple. You manufacture or purchase your products in bulk and have them shipped directly to the fulfillment center's warehouse. When a customer places an order on your website, the order is automatically forwarded to the center. Their team then picks the correct item from your inventory, packs it professionally, and ships it directly to the customer, often using your branded packaging. They handle returns, manage inventory levels, and provide you with tracking information. You never have to touch a single box. The beauty of this model is its scalability, whether you sell 10 units a day or 10,000. The fulfillment center has the infrastructure to handle it. You pay for the storage space you use and a fee for each order they process. This transforms a huge, time-consuming operational headache into a predictable, variable cost. Your business is no longer limited by the size of your garage or the number of hours you can spend at the post office. The alternative, even more hands-off, is dropshipping. In a dropshipping model, you don't hold any inventory at all. You act as the storefront. A customer orders a product from your website, you collect the payment, and then you place a corresponding order with the manufacturer or a wholesale supplier. You provide them with the customer's shipping details, and they ship the product directly to the customer. Your profit is the difference between your retail price and the wholesale price you pay the supplier. This model has an incredibly low barrier to entry, as you don't need to invest capital in inventory. However, it comes with its own challenges. You have less control over product quality, shipping times, and packaging. Your profit margins are typically lower than if you were buying in bulk. And if a customer has an issue with the product, you are still the one they contact, making you a middleman in the support process. Choosing between a fulfillment center and dropshipping depends on your business goals. If you want to build a strong brand with custom products and a controlled customer experience, a fulfillment center is superior. If you prioritize low startup costs and want to test market demand for various products quickly, dropshipping is an excellent starting point. In both scenarios, and the core principle is the same, you are automating the physical logistics to achieve location independence and free up your time. Now, how do you automate the flow of information and customer interaction? This is where many entrepreneurs get stuck, spending their days answering the same emails over and over again. The key is to build a scalable customer service system that empowers customers to solve their own problems before they ever need to contact a person. The foundation of this system is a comprehensive, meticulously crafted frequently asked questions page. This isn't just a page you throw together. It's a dynamic, living document. Initially, you should brainstorm every conceivable question a customer might have about your product: shipping, return policy, and usage. As you begin receiving actual customer inquiries, your rule should be, if a question is asked more than once, its answer belongs on the frequently asked questions page. Your goal is to make the frequently asked questions so thorough and easy to navigate that over 90% of customer issues can be resolved there. On your contact page, direct customers to the frequently asked questions first, framing it as the fastest way to get an answer. This single step can deflect the vast majority of support requests. For the inquiries that still get through, you create a tiered support structure. Tier 1 is an autoresponder. When a customer submits a contact form, they immediately receive an automated email. This email should manage expectations, stating your typical response time e.g. 24 to 48 hours. And most importantly, it should again link to the most popular sections of your frequently asked questions. Many people will find their answer there and won't need a further reply. If they still need help, their inquiry moves to Tier 2, a virtual assistant VA. You will have armed this VA with a set of templated responses and decision-making rules based on your documented processes. The VA can handle 95% of the remaining issues, things like tracking a lost package, processing a standard refund, or answering a slightly more complex product question. Only the most unique, high-level, or critical issues, the final 5%, should ever reach your personal inbox. This is Tier 3. By building these filters, you've transformed a constant stream of interruptions into a manageable, weekly batch of high-priority tasks. You've automated communication by empowering customers and delegating responses, ensuring the business runs smoothly without you being perpetually on call. None of this automation, not with fulfillment centers, not with virtual assistants, is possible without one critical component: meticulous documentation of all processes. If your business knowledge lives only inside your head, you are, and always will be, the primary bottleneck. You cannot delegate a task. You cannot clearly explain. The solution is to create a detailed operations manual. This is the central brain of your business. For every single recurring task, from updating the website to handling a specific type of customer complaint, you must create a step-by-step guide. Use screen sharing software like Loom to record videos of yourself performing the task, explaining each click and decision. Write out checklists in a shared document like Google Docs. Take screenshots and annotate them. The rule is simple. Create instructions so clear that a reasonably intelligent person with no prior experience in your business could follow them and achieve the desired outcome. This takes effort up front, but the payoff is monumental. When you hire a new VA, you don't spend weeks training them. You give them the operations manual. When you want to switch fulfillment centers, you have a documented process for the transition. This manual turns your business from a person-dependent operation into a system-dependent one. Systems are scalable. Individual people are not. The ultimate purpose of this architecture of automation is to achieve the final, liberating goal: removing yourself as the bottleneck in your own business. A bottleneck is any point in a system where the flow is restricted. In a new business, the founder is almost always the bottleneck. Every decision, every order, every email, every problem has to pass through you. The business can only grow as fast as you can personally work. By implementing fulfillment centers, you remove yourself as the logistics bottleneck. By building a tiered customer support system, you remove yourself as the communication bottleneck. By creating a detailed operations manual, you remove yourself as the knowledge bottleneck. Each layer of automation you add is another step towards creating a business that is a true asset. Not just a high-paying job, it's an entity that can operate, grow, and generate profit independently of your physical location and your 24-hour daily time limit. This is the essence of the 4-hour work week. It's not about not working. It's about creating systems that work for you, allowing you to focus your energy on high-level strategy, new ventures, Or, most importantly, living a life defined by freedom and choice, not by the endless demands of a business you created. Welcome to our deep dive into the principles of the 4-hour workweek. In this section, we tackle one of the most coveted goals for the modern employee liberation from the office. This is Chapter 8, The Disappearing Act. Your strategic guide to engineering a remote work arrangement. Tim Ferriss doesn't present this as a hopeful request, but as a calculated operation. The objective is to make your remote work a benefit so obvious to your employer that refusing it seems illogical. It's not about asking for a favor. It's about presenting a powerful business case where both you and the company win. The fundamental mindset shift is this. Your request for remote work is not about your convenience. It's about increasing your value and output for the company. Every step, every word must be framed through this lens. Your boss doesn't care about your commute or your desire to work from a cafe. They care about profits, productivity, and performance. Your entire strategy will be built on demonstrating with undeniable proof that you are more valuable to the company outside the office than inside it. This process is a gradual, 5-step infiltration designed to replace doubt with data. Step 1, before you even think about mentioning the words remote work, you must increase your perceived value, become one of the most indispensable assets in your department. This is the time to take on high visibility projects, to solve problems no one else wants to touch. And most importantly, to quantify your contributions. Don't just work hard, produce measurable results. Instead of saying, I improved the monthly report, say, I automated the monthly reporting process, saving 10 hours of manual labor each month. Instead of, I'm a good salesperson, say, I exceeded my sales quota by 20% for 2 consecutive quarters. Your value must be articulated in numbers, percentages, and dollars. This data is your ammunition for the negotiation to come. Step 2, propose a revocable trial. This is the cornerstone of the entire strategy. You are not asking for a permanent, life-altering policy change. You are asking for a short, low-risk experiment. The magic words are, I'd like to propose a 1-day-a-week remote work trial for 2 weeks to prove I can be more productive at home. This approach is brilliant because it minimizes fear and resistance. A 2-week trial is a tiny commitment for a manager. It's easy to say yes to. You framed it as an experiment to increase productivity, which aligns with their goals. It's also revocable, meaning if it doesn't work, things go back to normal. You've removed nearly every barrier to getting an initial yes. Step 3, prepare for common objections before the meeting. You must enter the conversation armed with prepared, logical responses. Let's role play. Your boss says, how will I know you're working if I can't see you? Your pre-scripted answer is, I understand the concern. That's why I want to measure my performance based on output, not physical presence. During the trial, I will send a detailed report at the end of each remote day, outlining every task completed and its outcome. The results will be more transparent than they are in the office. Another common one, this isn't fair. If I let you do it, I have to let everyone do it. Your response, I see this not as a company-wide policy change, but as a performance-based reward for top producers. The idea is to test if this arrangement can boost productivity. If my performance demonstrably increases, it could become a powerful incentive for other high achievers in the future, ultimately benefiting the entire team. Or, we need you here for collaboration and team meetings. Your answer, I completely agree that collaboration is critical. I'll strategically choose my remote day say Tuesday, to avoid our key team meetings on Monday and Wednesday for any urgent matters. I'll be fully available on Slack, email, and phone, and can join any meeting via video call. The goal is to maximize my focused, individual work time to bring even more completed projects back to the team. Step 4. This is the make or break moment. You must over-deliver during the trial period. Your productivity on your remote day must be astronomical. This is not a day to relax. It is a day of intense, focused work. Use the time you save on commuting and the focus you gain from fewer interruptions to produce double or even triple your normal output. Be meticulous in documenting everything. At the end of your remote day, send your manager that promise report. It should be a list of achievements so impressive that it makes your in-office days look slow by comparison. For example, today, I completed the full draft of the Q3 marketing proposal, finalized the budget for the Miller account, and resolved 15 outstanding support tickets. The proposal alone was scheduled to take 3 days. You are building an undeniable, data-driven case that you working from home is a massive win for the company. Step 5. Expand the terms. After your 2-week trial is a resounding success, it's time to analyze the results with your manager. Present the data. As you can see from my reports, my output on remote days was 150% higher than my in-office average. I believe we can make this a permanent productivity gain. I'd like to propose extending the trial to 2 days a week. Tuesday and Thursday, you continue this process, letting the data speak for itself. Each successful trial period becomes the justification for the next expansion. You move from 1 day to 2, 2 to 4, and eventually to a fully remote position, all based on a foundation of proven, superior performance. This method transforms a subjective conversation about preference into an objective discussion about results. Now, let's discuss best practices. For once you've secured your remote arrangement, the disappearing act is about leaving the office, not disappearing from your team's radar. Your communication must become more proactive and intentional. Over-communicate your progress on projects. Be hyper-responsive on messaging apps during work hours. Announce when you are starting your day and when you are signing off. This constant, low-friction communication creates a sense of presence and reliability that puts managers at ease. Set up a dedicated workspace and maintain a consistent schedule. This discipline ensures you remain productive and signals to your colleagues that you are professional and structured, even when out of sight. Finally, continue to focus on output. Your continued freedom is directly proportional to the value you create. Never let your performance slip. Your results are the ultimate justification for your remote status. In essence, Tim Ferriss' strategy is a masterclass in corporate judo. You use the company's own momentum, its desire for increased productivity and efficiency to achieve your goal of location independence. You don't fight the system, you leverage it. By framing your desire for freedom as an opportunity for corporate gain, by mitigating risk with a trial period, and by backing it all up with overwhelming proof of performance, you make the transition to remote work not just possible, but inevitable. Welcome to Chapter 9, Liberation Through Many Retirements. For generations, we've been sold a singular life script: learn, work for 40 to 50 years, and then, if you're lucky, retire to enjoy your golden years. This model is what Tim Ferriss calls deferred living, sacrificing your most energetic and capable years for a distant, uncertain future. But what if there was another way? What if you could sprinkle those golden years throughout your entire life? Starting now, this is the revolutionary concept of the mini retirement. A mini retirement is not a vacation. Let's be clear about that distinction. The standard 2-week vacation is often a frantic sprint. It's a binge and purge cycle of activity. We try to cram a year's worth of relaxation and adventure into 14 days. We rush from one tourist trap to another, camera in hand, barely scratching the surface of a new culture. We check emails compulsively, fearing the mountain of work piling up back at the office. The result: we often return home more exhausted than when we left, needing a vacation from our vacation. This cycle doesn't rejuvenate. It merely provides a temporary and often stressful escape. A mini retirement, on the other hand, is a deliberate, extended break from your routine, typically lasting from 1 to 6 months or even longer. It's not about escaping life. It's about fully immersing yourself in it. The goal isn't to see the world in a blur, but to live in one part of it, to become a temporary local rather than a permanent tourist. The benefits of this approach are profound and life-altering. The most immediate benefit is preventing burnout. The relentless pressure of the modern career path is a recipe for mental and physical exhaustion. A mini retirement acts as a strategic pressure release valve. By completely unplugging for an extended period, you allow your mind and body to truly recover. You return to your work not just rested, but with a renewed sense of purpose, creativity, and perspective that a short holiday could never provide. Secondly, mini retirements are the ultimate incubator for skill acquisition. How many times have you said, "I'd love to learn Spanish," or "I wish I knew how to code," or "I've always wanted to learn to salsa dance"? The traditional work schedule leaves little time for deep, immersive learning. A 3-month mini retirement in Buenos Aires, however, offers the perfect environment to become conversational in Spanish and a confident tango dancer. A 4-month stay in Chiang Mai could be your opportunity to master a new programming language or become a certified yoga instructor. These aren't just hobbies. They are life-enriching skills that expand your identity and capabilities. This deep dive leads to the third major benefit: true cultural immersion. When you live somewhere for several months, your experience transcends tourism. You find a favorite local cafe. You build relationships with your neighbors. You navigate the local markets, learn the rhythm of the city, and understand the nuances of the culture in a way that is impossible during a brief visit. You are no longer just observing a different way of life. You are participating in it. This process broadens your worldview, fosters empathy, and shatters preconceived notions. So, how does one make this dream a reality? The first step is planning, which begins with shifting your mindset. You must first convince yourself that it's possible. Ferriss recommends an exercise called fear setting, where you define your worst-case scenarios in detail. What are you actually afraid of? Losing your job, running out of money. What you'll often find is that the potential negative outcomes are temporary and reversible, while the potential positive outcomes, the new skills, memories, and perspectives are permanent and life-changing. Once you've conquered the fear, you move to logistics. If you have a traditional job, this might involve negotiating a remote work arrangement or an unpaid sabbatical. Frame it as a benefit to your employer. You will return with new skills, a global perspective, and revitalize energy. If you are your own boss, the task is to automate your business to the point where it can run without your daily intervention, the very essence of the 4-hour work week. Financially, many retirements are surprisingly accessible. The key is choosing a location where the cost of living is lower than your home country. Your monthly expenses in Thailand, Portugal, or Mexico could be a fraction of what you pay in New York or London. You aren't paying for expensive hotels. You're living in a furnished apartment. You're not eating at tourist restaurants every night. You're cooking with fresh ingredients from the local market. You can often finance an entire 6-month mini retirement for the cost of a single lavish 2-week vacation. The possibilities for what you can do on a mini retirement are limited only by your imagination. You could spend 3 months in Italy, not just seeing the Colosseum, but taking an intensive course in Renaissance art history and learning to cook authentic regional cuisine. You could move to Costa Rica for 4 months to volunteer at an animal sanctuary and become a certified scuba diver. You could rent a small house in rural Japan for half a year to study calligraphy and master the art of mindfulness. Or you could simply use the time to finally write that novel, launch that project, or reconnect with your family away from the distractions of daily life. The mini retirement is a fundamental pillar of the new rich lifestyle. It replaces the flawed model of deferred living with a model of integrated living. It's about distributing recovery, adventure, and learning throughout your life. Rather than saving it all for a frail and uncertain old age, it's about living your dream life today, not someday. The question isn't whether you can afford to take a mini retirement, it's whether you can afford not to. Welcome back to our journey through the 4-hour workweek. In our previous discussion, we followed Tim Ferriss's deal framework: define, eliminate, automate, and now we arrive at the final, most profound step: liberation. You've done the hard work, you've slashed your hours, outsourced your tasks, and built an automated muse that generates income while you sleep. The chains of the 9-to-5 have fallen away. But as the dust settles, a new, unexpected challenge emerges. The phone is silent, your inbox is calm. The frantic rhythm that once defined your days has been replaced by a vast, open expanse of time. And in that quiet, a question echoes, what now? This is the heart of chapter 10, a chapter dedicated not to escaping work, but to navigating the freedom you've just won. Ferriss confronts a paradox that few productivity gurus ever mention after you escape the rat race. You must learn to live without the cheese. The first hurdle is what he calls filling the void. For years, our identities are fused with our professions. What do you do is often the first question we ask a stranger. Our work provided structure, a sense of purpose, and a default answer to that question. When you remove it, you don't just create free time, you create a vacuum. This can be surprisingly disorienting. The initial euphoria of freedom can quickly curdle into boredom, then anxiety, and even a form of depression. You might find yourself aimlessly refreshing social media, creating make-work projects, or even considering going back to a traditional job simply for the structure it provides. Ferriss is blunt about this reality. He explains that humans are not designed for idleness. We are creatures of purpose. The goal of the 4-hour workweek was never to do nothing. It was to have the absolute freedom to choose what you do and when you do it. The void, then, is not a problem to be feared, but a canvas waiting to be painted. It's an invitation to consciously design a life of engagement and fulfillment rather than accepting the default one. So how do you fill this void meaningfully? The key is to distinguish between aimless idleness and intentional living. It's not about sitting on a beach, sipping cocktails forever that gets old remarkably fast. It's about replacing professional obligations with personal passions. Ferriss offers a powerful framework for this. centered around two main pillars: continuous learning and service. Let's explore learning first. This is your chance to reclaim the childlike curiosity that the traditional career path often extinguishes. Think about all the skills and experiences you've put on a someday list. Now is someday. Learn a new language, not for a resume, but for the joy of communicating with a new culture. Move to Buenos Aires for 6 months and become a tango master. Take up rock climbing, learn to code, study philosophy, master the art of Italian cooking. The possibilities are infinite. The point of this learning is not to be productive in the traditional sense. It's not about acquiring skills for a future job. It's about expansion, expanding your mind, your abilities, and your understanding of the world. It's about becoming a more interesting, well-rounded human being. This kind of active engagement is the perfect antidote to the existential dread of too much free time. The second pillar is service. Ferriss observes that after a period of self-indulgence, many of the new rich find that the most profound fulfillment comes from contributing to something larger than themselves. Once your own needs are met, you have the capacity and the resources to focus on the needs of others. This doesn't have to mean selling all your possessions and joining a monastery. Service can take many forms. You could volunteer for a local charity, mentor aspiring entrepreneurs, join the board of a nonprofit, or use your business skills to help an organization you believe in. Shifting your focus from accumulation to contribution is a powerful way to find a deep and abiding sense of purpose. It answers the what now question with a resounding, this is what matters. By combining continuous learning and meaningful service, you don't just fill the void, you transform it into a rich, dynamic, and purpose-driven life. With this new philosophy in hand, we must also be aware of the common pitfalls that can sabotage our newfound freedom. Ferriss concludes with a list of the top 13 mistakes to avoid, which act as a final checklist for the aspiring lifestyle designer. Let's focus on 3 of the most critical ones. The first major mistake is losing the human element. In the quest for ruthless efficiency and automation, it's easy to forget that business and life is fundamentally about people and relationships. You might have the perfect automated email sequence, but it will never replace a genuine personal conversation with a key client. You can hire a virtual assistant to manage your schedule, but if you treat them like a robot, you'll never get their best work or loyalty. Technology should be a tool to enhance connection, not a wall to hide behind. Ferriss advises to periodically break your own rules. Make unscheduled calls to your best customers just to thank them. Have a non-business related video call with your remote team to build rapport. Remember that automation is for systems, relationships are for humans. The second critical mistake is what could be called working for work's sake or automating useless tasks. The habit of being busy is hard to break. When you suddenly have free time, you might invent tasks to feel productive. An even more insidious version of this is applying your powerful automation skills to activities that shouldn't be done in the first place. You might spend days creating a complex system to automatically sort and file emails that you should have just unsubscribed from. This is a classic efficiency trap, doing the wrong thing faster. Always remember the correct order of operations. Eliminate, simplify, automate. Before you optimize a process, ask the brutal question, does this need to exist at all? Be ruthless in cutting out the non-essential. It's better to have an inefficient system for something that matters than a hyper-efficient system for something that doesn't. The third and final mistake we'll cover is letting perfectionism lead to paralysis. With an abundance of time, the temptation is to micromanage and endlessly tweak. You delay launching your product because the logo isn't quite right. You hold off on publishing a blog post to reread it for the 20th time. You second guess every decision your virtual assistant makes. This isn't quality control, it's fear. It's the fear of criticism, the fear of failure, the fear of not being perfect. The 4-hour workweek philosophy champions the concept of the minimum viable product. Launch early and iterate based on real-world feedback. A good product in the hands of customers is infinitely better than a perfect product that exists only in your head. Trust the systems you've built. Empower the people you've hired. Give yourself permission to be imperfect and to learn from your mistakes. This journey of lifestyle design is not a one-time event. It is not a static destination. It is a continuous process of experimentation, refinement, and rediscovery. The 4-hour workweek is not about finding a single perfect system that will last forever. It's about building a flexible framework that allows you to adapt and evolve. It gives you the freedom to test new businesses, explore new hobbies, live in new countries, and constantly ask yourself, what do I truly want to do with this one precious life? This is the essence of liberation. It is the end of the book, but it is the beginning of your new life. A life defined not by obligation, but by choice. A life designed by you, for you. Welcome to your practical action plan. The next 7 days are your launch pad into the world of the new rich. This isn't about theory anymore. It's about execution. We will walk day by day through the foundational steps of the deal framework. Define, eliminate, automate, and liberate. Grab a notebook, clear your schedule for a few key moments, and prepare to fundamentally change your relationship with work and time. Let's begin. Days 1 and 2 are dedicated to the most crucial step. Definition. Without a clear destination, you're just drifting. This is where you draw your map. Your first task is to complete the Dreamline exercise. This is not a vague wish list. It's a precise costing of your ideal lifestyle. Open your notebook and create 6 columns having buying, doing, cost per month, target monthly income, and a timeline. Under having, list up to 5 things you want to have. A new Tesla A designer wardrobe, a specific home. Research the real monthly cost. Don't just guess. If it's a one-time purchase, divide its cost by 12 to get a monthly figure. Next, buying. What do you want to be? A great cook, fluent in Japanese, a certified scuba diver. List up to 5 being goals. Then, research the cost of classes, tutors, or equipment needed to achieve this, and break it down into a monthly expense. Finally, doing. What are the top 5 things you dream of doing? Traveling to Southeast Asia for a month, taking a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon, attending a Formula One race. Again, find the real cost and calculate the monthly portion. Now, total the monthly costs of all your having, buying, and doing dreams. Add a 30% buffer for savings and miscellaneous expenses. This final number is your target monthly income or too much information. This figure is your lighthouse. It transforms your vague desire for more money into a concrete, quantifiable goal. You'll often find this number is far lower and more achievable than you imagined. Spend the rest of day 1 and the beginning of day 2 refining this dreamline. Make it visceral. Find photos that represent these goals and put them somewhere you'll see them daily. Now, for the second part of definition for your setting, most people never pursue their dreams, not because they can't, but because they are paralyzed by undefined fears. We're going to drag those fears into the light on a new page. Write down your biggest goal from your dream line, the one that excites and terrifies you most. Perhaps it's quitting your job to start a business. Now, create 3 columns. Column 1, define. In this column, list every single worst case scenario you can imagine if you pursue this goal. What's the absolute worst that could happen? Be specific. Your business fails, you burn through your savings, your family thinks you're a fool, your reputation is damaged. Write down 10 to 20 terrible outcomes. Column 2, prevent. For each worst case scenario you listed, write down what you could do to prevent it from happening, or at least minimize the probability. To prevent business failure, you could validate your idea with a small test market first. To prevent losing all your savings, you could set a firm stop loss amount. Column 3, repair. Now, for each scenario, imagine it has happened. What would you do step by step to get back on your feet? If your business failed, could you get another job in your industry? Perhaps a better one with your new experience. Could you move in with family for a few months to rebuild savings? You will quickly realize that the temporary impact of failure is almost always reversible and less catastrophic than the permanent regret of inaction. Finally, consider the cost of inaction. What will your life look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years if you don't do this? This is often the most terrifying prospect of all. By the end of day 2, you will have both a compelling vision, pulling you forward, and a rational understanding of the risks, stripped of their emotional power. This is your foundation. On days 3 and 4, we shift our focus to elimination. You cannot add without first subtracting. We will clear the clutter to make room for what truly matters. Your first task is a comprehensive time audit. For 1 full day, preferably a typical workday, track everything you do in 15 or 30-minute increments. Be brutally honest. If you spent 30 minutes scrolling through social media, write it down. If a quick email check turned into a 45-minute rabbit hole, document it. The goal isn't to judge yourself, but to gather raw data. Where does your time actually go? At the end of the day, analyze your log. Now, we apply the 80/20 principle, or Pareto's law. This principle states that for many outcomes, roughly 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. In our context, 20% of your activities are likely generating 80% of your positive results in happiness. Conversely, 20% of your activities are causing 80% of your problems and time waste. Look at your time log and your work responsibilities. Ask yourself 2 questions. Which 20% of sources are causing 80% of my problems and unhappiness? And which 20% of sources are resulting in 80% of my desired outcomes and happiness? Identify the low leverage, time-wasting activities. These could be unproductive meetings, sorting through low-priority emails, or tasks that someone else could and should be doing. Now, identify your high-leverage, high-impact tasks. These are the activities that directly contribute to your most important goals. Your mission for day 4 is to create a not-to-do list based on this analysis. Vow to eliminate or drastically reduce the top 3 time wasters you identified. To supercharge this process, we will now begin a 48-hour media fast. For the next 2 days, you will consume no non-essential information. This means no news websites, no television news, no social media scrolling, no newspapers, no nonfiction books unless they are directly related to your immediate tasks. The purpose is twofold. First, it breaks the addiction to constant low value information input that fragments our attention. Second, it proves that the world will not end if you are not plugged in 24/7. You will feel a dramatic increase in your ability to focus on your 20% tasks. This fast creates a vacuum, and into that vacuum will rush focus, clarity, and productivity. By the end of day 4, you will have a clear, data-driven picture of how you use your time, and you will have taken the first concrete steps to eliminate the noise and focus on the signal. Days 5 and 6 are dedicated to the art of automation. This is where you begin building the systems that will liberate your time. Automation isn't just about robots and software. It's about creating processes and delegating tasks so that your business or your role can function without your constant, direct involvement. Your first task is to identify 5 repetitive, time-consuming tasks. Look back at your time audit from day 3. What are the things you do every day or every week that take up time but don't require your unique skills or creativity? Here are some common examples managing your email inbox. Scheduling appointments, paying bills, creating standard reports, updating spreadsheets, or posting content to social media. Make a list of at least 5 such tasks. Be specific. Instead of emails, write sorting and archiving non-critical emails. Instead of social media, write scheduling LinkedIn posts for the week. The more precise you are, the easier it will be to find a solution. Now, for the core action of days 5 and 6. Pick just one task from your list. Only one. Your mission is not to fully delegate it yet, but to thoroughly research how you could. This is a reconnaissance mission to demystify the process. Let's say you chose scheduling client appointments. Spend these 2 days exploring the options. You could research scheduling software like Calendly or Acuity Scheduling, which lets clients book times automatically based on your availability. This is technological automation. Or you could explore human delegation. Go to a website like Upwork, Fiverr, or Fancy Hands. Create a free account. Look at the profiles of virtual assistants. See what their skills are and what they charge. You could even draft a sample job post describing your scheduling task. You don't have to post it, but the act of writing it forces you to clearly define the process, the inputs, and the desired outputs. The goal here is to replace the vague, intimidating idea of delegation with a concrete plan and a list of potential solutions. You will see that there are thousands of capable people and affordable tools ready to take these tasks off your plate. This 2-day research sprint breaks the psychological barrier. It proves that automation is not a complex, expensive luxury reserved for CEOs. It's an accessible tool for anyone looking to buy back their time. By the end of day 6, you will have a tangible plan for offloading your first low-level task, paving the way for more significant automation in the future. We've arrived at day 7, liberation. This is where we take our first real step, however small, towards the mobility and freedom that is the ultimate goal of the 4-hour work week. This day is about testing the waters and proving the concept of remote freedom, both to yourself and, if necessary, to your employer. You have 2 potential paths for today. Depending on your current work situation, choose the one that fits you best. Path A is for those in traditional employment, the remote work proposal. Your task today is to draft a proposal for a 1-day remote work trial. The key to getting this approved is to frame it as a benefit to the company, not just to you. Your proposal should be short, professional, and focus on increased productivity. Structure it like this. First, propose a specific day for the trial. preferably a Tuesday or Wednesday, to show you're not just trying to get a long weekend. Second, emphasize the benefits of uninterrupted time. State that you will use the day to focus on a high priority project that requires deep concentration, which is often difficult in a busy office environment. Third, make your productivity quantifiable. Outline exactly what you will deliver. By the end of the day, this removes the manager's fear that you'll be unproductive. Promise to be fully available via phone and email, and suggest a check-in call in the morning and afternoon. By presenting a well-reasoned, results-oriented plan, you make it very difficult for a reasonable manager to say no. Path B is for everyone, including entrepreneur, freelancers, or those who cannot work remotely yet. The mini retirement test run. The concept of mini retirements is about distributing periods of rest and adventure throughout your life rather than saving it all for old age. Today, your task is to plan and schedule a one-day mini retirement. Take a weekday off from work. This is crucial. It cannot be a Saturday or Sunday. The point is to experience the freedom of having the world to yourself while others are at their desks. Now, look back at your dreamline from day one. Pick one of the being or doing activities that you can do locally. Perhaps it's visiting a museum that's always too crowded on weekends, taking a weekday cooking class, going for a long hike in a nearby park, or simply reading a novel in a coffee shop for 4 uninterrupted hours. Schedule it, put it in your calendar. This act conditions you to treat your lifestyle goals with the same seriousness as your work commitments. It is a powerful psychological shift, whichever path you choose. Day 7 is about taking action that physically removes you from the traditional work environment. It's the first taste of liberation. By the end of this week, you will have defined your dreams, eliminated distractions, explored automation, and taken a tangible step toward freedom. This is the beginning. This is your momentum. As we distill the essence of Tim Ferriss's revolutionary manifesto, the 4-hour workweek, we find its philosophy rests upon 3 monumental pillars. These are not mere tips for productivity. They are foundational principles for a complete re-engineering of your life and work. They challenge the very bedrock of conventional wisdom, the deferred life plan of work, retire, die. Let's explore these 3 pillars that form the gateway to the new rich effectiveness over efficiency. Lifestyle design over blind ambition, and automation as liberation. Our first pillar, and arguably the most crucial mindset shift, is the principle of effectiveness over efficiency. Society has conditioned us to glorify busyness. We are taught to be efficient, to do things quickly, to multitask, to clear our inboxes, and to check off as many items on our to-do list as possible. We mistake this activity for accomplishment. Ferriss argues this is a dangerous and unproductive illusion. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness, however, is doing the right things. Imagine spending 8 hours meticulously and efficiently organizing the deck chairs on the Titanic. Your work is perfect, fast, and orderly. You are a model of efficiency. But is it effective? No. Because you are on a sinking ship. The task itself, no matter how well executed, is irrelevant to the larger critical outcome. This is the trap of efficiency. The tool Ferriss provides to escape this trap is the Pareto principle, also known as the 80/20 rule. Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, observed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. This principle has since been found to apply almost universally. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of its customers and products. And critically, 80% of your happiness and feelings of accomplishment will come from just 20% of your activities. The inverse is also terrifyingly true. 80% of what you do, the tasks that fill your day, cause you stress and make you feel busy, are only responsible for a meager 20% of your meaningful results. Your first task, therefore, is not to do more, but to identify that vital 20%. Ask yourself two questions relentlessly. First, which 20% of sources are causing 80% of my problems and unhappiness? And second, which 20% of sources are resulting in 80% of my desired outcomes and happiness? This analysis applies to everything: your clients, your daily tasks, your marketing efforts, even your social circle. Once you identify the low yield 80%, the next step is radical: eliminate them. This is where another law comes into play, Parkinson's law, which states that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. If you give yourself 8 hours to complete a task, it will take 8 hours. If you give yourself 2 hours, you are forced to focus only on the most critical actions to get it done. By ruthlessly culling the non-essential 80% and applying strict deadlines to the remaining 20%, you stop being efficient with unimportant tasks and become devastatingly effective with the tasks that truly matter. This is the path to achieving more by doing less. This brings us to the second pillar: lifestyle design over blind ambition. The old model of success is a linear, one-size-fits-all path: go to school, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder for 40 years, save money, and then finally, at age 65, you can retire and enjoy life. Ferriss calls this the deferred life plan, and he exposes it as a fundamentally flawed gamble. You are wagering your most vibrant, healthy years for a future pot of gold that is never guaranteed. What if your health fails? What if the economy crashes? What if you reach retirement and realize you have no idea what you enjoy doing? Instead of this blind ambition for an ever-receding finish line called retirement, Ferriss advocates for lifestyle design. This flips the entire model on its head. The question is not what do I want to have or what do I want to be. The question is, what do I want to do? And how do I want to live? You start with the end in mind, your ideal life. You define it not in vague terms of being rich, but in concrete, actionable detail. This process is called dreamlining. You take a piece of paper and create 2 timelines, 6 months and 12 months. For each timeline, you list up to 5 things you dream of: having a specific car, a designer watch, being a great cook, fluent in Spanish, and visiting Thailand, learning to tango. These are your dream lines. The crucial next step is to calculate the actual monthly cost of achieving these dreams. You'll often find that the cost of your dream life is far, far lower than you imagined. A month-long trip to Argentina isn't millions of dollars. It's a calculable sum. Learning a language requires a specific time commitment and perhaps the cost of an app or a tutor. By quantifying your dreams, but you transform them from impossible fantasies into a target monthly income. This target monthly income becomes your new compass. You no longer work to amass a meaningless fortune for a distant future. You work to generate the specific cash flow needed to fund your ideal lifestyle right now. This approach also introduces the concept of mini retirements, distributing the decades of retirement throughout your life in the form of 1 to 6 month adventures. Instead of waiting until you're too old to enjoy it, you take extended breaks to explore the world and your passions while you are young and energetic. This isn't about being lazy. It's about recognizing that life is meant to be lived in the present, not perpetually postponed. The final pillar, which makes the first two possible, is automation as liberation. You've identified the effective 20% of tasks and designed your ideal lifestyle with its target monthly income. But how do you generate that income without being chained to a desk? The answer is to build systems that serve you so you can stop trading your time directly for money. The goal is to create what Ferriss calls a muse, a low maintenance, automated business that generates cash flow without your constant hands-on involvement. This is the ultimate form of leverage. The first step towards automation is liberation from your location and your 9-to-5 schedule. This often involves negotiating a remote work agreement by proving you are more productive outside the office. By focusing on your effective 20% of tasks, you can deliver superior results in less time, making a compelling case to your employer. The ultimate goal, however, is to create your own source of automated income. A Muse business has specific characteristics. It's often centered around an information product like an ebook, an online course, or a specialized instructional DVD that you create once and can be sold over and over again with minimal effort. The key is to find a niche market you understand, create a valuable product for them, and then automate the entire process of marketing, sales, payment processing, and fulfillment. You are not building a massive corporation that you must manage. You are building a small, streamlined cash flow machine. The core principle of automation is to remove yourself as the bottleneck. This means delegating. Anything that is time-consuming but not part of your unique 20% should be outsourced. This is where virtual assistants VAs become invaluable. For a small hourly rate, you can hire a remote assistant to handle email, schedule appointments, conduct research, manage customer service, and perform nearly any task that can be done online. By creating clear rules and systems for your VA to follow, you build a buffer between you and the daily grind of your business. You graduate from being the person who does the work to the person who oversees the system. This is the definition of working on your business, not in it. These three pillars, effectiveness, lifestyle design, and automation, are not independent strategies. They are a synergistic system. You use the 80/20 rule to free up your time. Effectiveness, you use that newfound time and focus to define and pursue your ideal lifestyle design. And you fund that life by building an automated vehicle for income that operates without you. Automation. It is a radical departure from the common path, a blueprint for escaping the rat race and reclaiming your most valuable, non-renewable resource, your time. And so we arrive at the end of our journey through the core principles of Tim Ferriss's revolutionary book, The 4-Hour Workweek. But I want you to understand something crucial right now. This is not an ending. This is the beginning. What you've just listened to isn't merely a summary of a book. It's a blueprint for a new reality. It's a permission slip to question the default path of deferred living, the endless cycle of work, save, retire, and then maybe live. The concepts of deal definition, elimination, automation, and liberation are no longer abstract ideas. They are now tools in your possession. You hold the map that shows a way out of the rat race, a path toward a life rich in time, mobility, and experiences, but a map is useless if it stays folded in your pocket. A tool is worthless if it remains in the toolbox. The gap between knowing the path and walking the path is action. Pure, simple, and immediate action. Right now, you are standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfortable, familiar routine. The other, the one less traveled, leads towards the life you've just envisioned, a life of your own design. The most dangerous thing you can do right now is to feel inspired for a fleeting moment, close this window, and do nothing. Inspiration without action is a delusion. It's a temporary high that fades, leaving you exactly where you started. We are not going to let that happen today. Today, we bridge the gap. Today, you take your first concrete step. So, my first and most important question to you is this. What is your number one takeaway from this entire framework? What is the single idea that resonated with you so deeply it felt like a light switch being flipped on in a dark room? Or, perhaps more importantly, what is the very first tangible action step you are going to take within the next 24 hours to move 1 inch closer to your ideal lifestyle? Don't just think about it. I want you to commit to it. Go down to the comment section right now and share it with us. Write it out. It could be as simple as, my first step is to track my time for 1 day to find my biggest time wasters. It could be, I'm going to calculate my target monthly income tonight. It could be, tomorrow, I will write down the 5 what-if questions and define my worst-case scenario, or I will identify one low-value, recurring task that I can batch. By writing it down, you make it real. You take it out of the nebulous world of thought and give it form. By sharing it publicly, you create a powerful bond of accountability. You're not just telling yourself you'll do it. You're telling a community of fellow travelers that you are serious about this. Your single comment could be the spark that inspires someone else who is hesitating on the edge of their own decision. This comment section isn't just a feature. It's our digital campfire, a place where we gather to share our plans, our fears, and our victories. So go ahead, pause this right now if you have to, and leave your comment. Declare your intention. Your new life starts with that single keystroke. Now, as you're down there, you'll see 2 buttons, a like button and a subscribe button. If the ideas we've discussed today have sparked even a flicker of hope or a wave of inspiration in you, please click that like button. It does more than just show your appreciation. It tells the algorithm that this message of freedom, of lifestyle design, of questioning the status quo is valuable and needs to be shared with more people who are feeling trapped and looking for a way out. And then I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is not just about summarizing books. It's a hub for this exact movement. We will be diving deeper into the practical strategies for automation, for building muses, for negotiating remote work, and for mastering the art of the mini retirement. Subscribing means you are joining a community. You are raising your hand and saying, yes, I want to be a part of this conversation. I want to continue learning and growing alongside others who are on the same path. Don't let this be a one-time injection of motivation. Let it be the start of your ongoing education in lifestyle design. The next crucial step in your journey is to go deeper than any summary can take you. This audio summary is the movie trailer. The book itself is the immersive, 3D, life-changing feature film. I implore you, buy the 4-Hour Workweek. Get a physical copy that you can highlight, dog ear, and write notes and get the audiobook to listen to on your commute. Turning dead time into design time. See it not as an expense, but as the single best investment you will make in your future this year. The book is not just theory. It is a tactical manual packed with resources Tim Ferriss himself used. It contains email scripts for negotiating remote work, a list of virtual assistant services, detailed case studies, and crucial mind-expanding exercises like the comfort challenges that are designed to systematically destroy your fears. We've given you the what and the why, but the book provides the intricate, step-by-step how. It's the reference guide you will return to again and again as you build your new reality. Finally, to help you take that immediate first action I talked about, I want to give you a powerful tool for free. The entire foundation of designing your new life rests on one exercise, dreamlining. It's the process of defining your wildest dreams, attaching a cost and a timeline to them, and turning them from vague someday wishes into a concrete, actionable project plan. It is the most important first step you can take. To make this as easy as possible for you, I have created a downloadable Dreamline worksheet directly inspired by the book. It will walk you through step by step, defining what you want to have, be, and do. It will help you calculate the actual monthly cost of your dream life, which you will likely find is far, far lower than you ever imagined. The link to download this free PDF worksheet is in the description below this video. There is no email sign-up required. No catch. It is my gift to you to help you get started. Download it, print it out, and spend 30 uninterrupted minutes with it today. This single exercise has the power to change the entire trajectory of your life. So, this is your moment of decision. The inspiration is fresh. The tools are in front of you. You have a community waiting in the comments. You have the full, detailed manual waiting in the book. And you have a concrete first step with the Dreamline worksheet. The choice is yours. You can let this moment pass, or you can seize it and make a conscious decision that today is day one. The day you stop being a passive consumer of your life and start being its active architect. Your ideal life is not going to magically appear. You have to define it, plan for it, and build it one deliberate action at a time. Let that first action be now. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. Now go, take that first step. Your new life is waiting.